and all, you're more than welcome to another episode of the Coffee at 11 show. This is episode 69. It's brought to you by wigwam.ie, SME Peer Support. Delighted to have you here, and in particular I'm delighted to have a friend of mine and a lady I've admired for some time. It took me a long time to get this lady on the show, no expense spared. Barbara Gordon, you're very welcome. Please say hello and show us your coffee cup, please.
Hi, Colm, and thank you. And here's my lovely cup of coffee.
Fantastic. So going to bring Barbara in just a few moments, but let me just introduce you a little to the lady herself before we bring her in her own words, please. So Barbara Gordon, I refer to her as an entrepreneurial granny, and she's okay with that. WhatsWhat.ie is her business. What does your business do? She says WhatsWhat.ie is an online directory for Irish businesses. However, it is so much more than just a directory. Over 40 businesses register every week. Barbara is passionate about helping small to medium businesses. She has also set up a Facebook business group with over 2,500 members. Go you. And interacts every day with members, encourage them to interact also. Barbara's also a serial networker, no kidding, serial networker, and has set up face-to-face virtual networking meeting every 3 weeks. She would also like to mention that this was set up before the corona outbreak. Well done you, ahead of the curve, skate to where the puck is going to be and all that. As the members of WhatsWhat.ie are based in every county in Ireland, and she wanted these businesses to connect. During the last recession, Barbara had a vision for a BizExpo and set this up in 2012, and she ran this successfully for 6 years and passed it on in 2018. How long established in business? Last 18 years. All her work is outsourced. She doesn't have any employees on her payroll, by the way, which is the model going forward, I'm led to believe. And then she says, in a nutshell, I guess you could say Barbara, this is her referring to herself, she says, in a nutshell, I guess you could say Barbara is like a dog with a bone. She has an idea, gets stuck in, and doesn't let go easily. Fantastic, fantastic. Barbara Gordon, real pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out, finally, to come on the Coffee at 11 show. And in your own words, please, Barbara, will you take us all the way back to those early days in Bray, if you don't mind? Bring us, to introduce us to the woman behind the legend, if that's okay.
Yeah, okay, it's going way back now. So I suppose I started off my entrepreneurial taste for business was when I worked with my aunt. She was selling pots of tea and boiling water on the seafront in Bray. I don't know if any of you came to Bray in the summertime and sat on the grass and drank tea and had your sandwiches. It was a different time, but it was a lovely time. And my aunt had a business called Martin's Pots of Tea and Boiling Water. So I used to help her out. We'd sell they'd come to the window and they'd get their pot and they'd get their tray and their jug of milk and their sugar, and off they'd go and sit on the grass. And it was lovely. It was really good fun. Sometimes, and if you had me then, if we ran out of teapots, then I was to go for searching the seafront for the teapot. So you finish with your tea, get your teapot back. We have people looking for more tea. So then she decided, sometimes, in the evening time, we'd count all the pots and maybe 3 or 4 pots might go missing. And they were ceramic, nice teapots. So she decided then to charge a deposit on the pot. So that got the pots back. Yeah, the deposit. So did that. I used to go down every Sunday and help her out, and I really enjoyed it. I think she was an inspiration to me. She was, had always had great ideas, and she was a great worker. So then, yeah, I moved on from that, and I decided to open up a shop, a baby shop.
Sorry, Barbara, if you don't mind, before we come off the beach in Bray, because you've painted a lovely picture there, a very idyllic picture. In fact, Bridget McLaughlin, when you were on the show here, we were rueing the passing of the last generation of children, if that makes sense, that had childhoods. And so you painted a lovely idyllic picture of what it was like back then. Martin's Pots of Tea and Boiling Water, like there's a classic business name, does exactly what it says in the tin. Right? Yeah. Sell pots of tea and boiling water. That's it.
And it was, families would come together, and there was no going into the pubs in that time. They were all happy to sit on the beach, and they brought the sandwiches, and it was really I remember actually myself being down there, and I got lost, and I saw this family, a whole huge family, probably aunts and uncles and everybody. They're all sitting around and having their tea and their sandwiches, and I went over. I was about maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5, And I said, can I join you? My dad is lost and I can't find him. so so he eventually found me. But it was a great time, Colm. Everything was easy. And the sun always seemed to shine every Sunday. That's my memory. That's my memory. The sun just, yeah, it was gorgeous. And you wouldn't see a blade of grass. It was full of people, and yeah, all sitting down and really having good fun. Then I suppose pubs came into the picture and kind of died a death. Now my aunt passed on as well. So yeah. So that was a very lovely, happy memory of my first taste of sort of a business. Yeah.
Thank you, Barbara. And it was delighted. It was the story about your dad getting lost. I love that reframing. And she wasn't lost at all.
I was a happy camper. I was sitting among eating. They were all feeding me and looking after me, and my dad was lost. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. It's gorgeous stuff. Gorgeous stuff. So right, so fly on to your first business.
The time passed, and the time passed, and I decided then I wanted to open up a baby shop in Bray. So I had a guy from Silver Cross come out to interview me, and he got a shock when he saw me, because I was 8.5 months pregnant, and I was able to use my tummy as my tray. So, and he was going, what do you want to open a baby shop for? You know, look, you're about to have a baby. I said, I know, but look, we'll just move on from that. So then I decided that there was another baby shop just down the road. So I thought that wouldn't be fair to them, really, for me to open up another one. So I pivoted slightly and I opened up a nearly new baby shop. So I would take in cots and prams and buggies, no babies, and sell them so my customers became my supplier, and they're also my customer. So they would leave in their unwanted, and by the way, everything had to be in excellent condition and very clean and all the rest. So yeah, we would discuss a price, haggle over a price. They'd want this, no, you can't get that, and this would go on for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'd settle on a price and I'd sell it. So they'd be happy camper. They'd come in then, get their money. Person buying would go off happy because they've got something really good at a very cost-effective price. And yeah, it was really good. It was pocket money business. You know, it was just something to keep me, I suppose, occupied. And I was very close to my kid. It was very close then to my kids as well. So I could go home anytime I wanted. So that was, yeah. So then I moved.
Sorry, Barbara, just touch on that if I may, because I scribbled notes here. Love the fact that you decided, and it seems to be because you were pregnant, you saw the market for baby clothes. I love that.
Possibly, yeah, probably, yeah. And then I was probably thinking at the back of my head, yeah, I can get stuff really cheap here for myself.
Oh, makes sense, but anyway, I love the description of your belly was so big with you know.
Oh, the guy was shocked. Like, he came out to my house and sit in my sitting room, and he just wide-eyed. Like, I was sitting there calm, cool, with the coffee sitting on the tummy. And tell me this now, what would I be selling them for and what price? And I was all business. You know, he was going, oh my God.
I love it. I love it. The other part that I thought was really gorgeous was you set up a win-win situation, by the way, for everybody. Yeah. Your suppliers were your customers and vice versa. It was one beautiful loop. And the other thing that I really liked was you were very early in those co-opetition versus competition days. You didn't go into competition with the other baby shop. You said, we'll do this together. You sell the new stuff, I'll sell the nearly new, and happy days.
Yeah, and there was no one doing it at the moment. Now I didn't do any research on it. I just said, okay, I'm going to do this. But I found out afterwards nobody else was doing it, so it was grand. It was grand. So then I passed it on, and I said to myself, oh, gosh, what am I going to do now? So this lad knocked on my door, and he was selling these, like, I'm sure some of you might remember, restaurant cards with vouchers. And you might buy a card, I think at the time it was pounds, for £15 or something. And you could go in maybe 10 times or 15 times to the restaurant, and one person paid and one person didn't pay. So the cheaper of the two meals was the free meal. So I thought that was a great idea. And they were selling them all over Ireland. So I decided, I'll try this for a couple of months, keep me busy. So I went off to my local Chinese restaurant and I had a chat with our lovely lady, and I said, look, do you want me to be your personal sales rep for 3 months, and I'll do this and I'll do that and I'll do the other? And she said, what do I have to do? I said, all you have to do is they come in, they come in for 2, they might come in 3s or 4, but one of the meals is free. So the whole idea was then that they would maybe get dessert and a bottle of wine and maybe a starter. So, and also I was introducing people to the restaurant. So that worked out really well, actually. I really enjoyed that. So how I sold that was I went around door to door and I knocked on the doors. And that's how I sold it. And I remember one Saturday, I needed £100 for something. I don't know what I needed for, I can't remember. I said, right, I've got to go off now and get £100 somewhere. So I set off at 1 o'clock. I went into a housing estate and I came back at 2 o'clock with my £100. I sold 10 carts for €10 or £10, I think, at the time. Yeah. So it was good.
I love that. I love that. And you went a little deeper with me when we were doing the pre-show. You said that all the wives were out. So you got
it was lunchtime, and I kind of felt that wives would be out shopping now, and I'd get the husbands in and, you know, and plumos them, and yeah. And some would say, oh, my wife doesn't like Chinese. Well, I said, they sell steak there as well and, you know, other stuff. So, you know, you can't lose. Treat your wife. Take her out. Don't tell her you got a voucher. So then that was for 3 months. And I thought, now, what am I going to do with myself? So I kind of wanted to work from home. I wanted to be near the kids. I wanted to do the school runs and so forth. So all these leaflets, Colm, were coming in my door. And I thought, if I put all these leaflets into one big leaflet, I could make money, they could save money, and it's a win-win for everyone. So I got myself, I had no experience in advertising, I had no experience in graphic design, I had no experience whatsoever. So I said, right. So I got myself an A3 piece of paper, and a pen and pencil, a ruler and pencil, and I made 9 squares on the front and 9 squares on the back. And I said, I'm going off now to sell those squares. So I did, and I sold all the squares, and it was amazing. And then I said, okay, now I have to distribute these. So I printed 25,000. So I thought, holy crap, how am I going to distribute all these now? So what I did was I put an ad out into local housing estates, and I would get people locally to distribute them into the doors. And then I would say, now, look, one of the advertisers now lives in your estate, so he must get a paper. Who is he? No, I can't tell you who he is. So that means you've got to go to every home. So that ensured distribution. And it was grand because they were terrified. I said, if he doesn't pay me now, you know, I might not be able to pay you. So they were really good, and distribution worked really well. So then 2 things happened. One was a guy booked the whole side of my paper. Actually, I have a copy of it here. I'll show it to you. Don't know if you can see it. It's called Shop Around. So 9 on one side and 9 on the other. It was amazing. It was so simple. So then, 2 things happened. One was basically a guy bought the whole side, and I thought, this is great. Now I've got an really easy month this month. But when I went to get the ad copy, now there was no internet in those days. So I had to go physically, but it was great because you're making contact with people and you were talking and you were chatting. So I would go off to get the ad copy, and no, I didn't know how to do Cork Express. That was what was used at the time, but I knew how an ad should look and I had an idea. So I thought, this is great, a really easy month. But at the very last minute he pulled out, and I thought, what am I going to do now? I have 9 ads to sell. So he said to me, well, look, he said, I'll pay you anyway. No, I knew he wouldn't. I knew he wouldn't. So in front of a member of staff, I said to him, look, I said, you don't have to pay me. I said, how about we just do a contra deal? It was a hardware shop. And I was kind of eyeing things up. I could do with this, I could do with that. So I knew he wouldn't. So he said, yeah, we'll do a contra deal. That's great. So I sort of waited until he left the shop. I hid around the corner and I saw him leave the shop. And I went in, and the girl remembered me because I'd just been in there like a half an hour beforehand. And said, oh, I've come for the contra deal. So I parked my car outside. So pots and pans and buckets and sweeping brushes and mops all went into my car to the value of the 9 ads. And all I could see was when I came home, my kids are going, Mom, what have you got in the car? There was sweeping brushes sticking out of the boot and the windows and everywhere. And I only took the value because I wrote everything down. So he was furious with me. I said, look, you did the deal. Yeah, we had a witness. Yeah.
Well, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I was watching the cafe erupt in silent laughter there. You know, don't mess with this. That's for sure.
So, yeah, well, I had worked hard, like, I mean, and he had booked the page. So I thought, well, he has to pay for us, like. So something else happened as well. That's to made me change my mind. I discovered that well, I'm going to be kind. Yeah, I have to be kind. I discovered that my ex-husband was pretending to pay the mortgage and pretending to pay the bills, and all my post was redirected to a post box. So I didn't know anything that was going on. Then I found out. I said, holy crap, I now have to take the reins here. Look, you know, we were about to lose the house. So I said, no, I'm not losing my house over this, no way. So I took over the reins. I said, now I now have a mortgage. I now have kids. I now have all the bills. I said, what have I done? I said, okay, get over this, get on with it. So and because of the guy let me down with the ad copy, I decided to turn my single page into 16 pages, which would bring in more money and would bring, and if anyone let me down, it was kind of irrelevant. So, so I set that up. I have a copy here of the 16 pages. It was high gloss, full color, and I did it for years, and it was just amazing. So the 16 pages there, and it worked great. It worked brilliant. I remember a newspaper from the south side, I don't mention any names, but they wanted to come into my area. So I ran all my advertising. I said, if I see you with an ad in that paper, don't come to me crying afterwards. You know, don't come to me. So they all stuck with me and supported me, and the other paper moved out of the area. It was great. It was great. So that went on for quite some time. And it was, you know something, Colm, it was lovely because there was no internet. You were making connections, real connections. You had to collect the ad copy. You had to get the ad done up. You had to go show them the proof. There was very few emails in those days. It was really lovely time to be in business. So, but you're near coming to the end of that time, and I was managing to pay the mortgage and pay all the bills, and I was doing everything. So it was grand. So it was coming to the end of that time, late 1990s, and I said to myself, you know, all of these businesses should be on the internet. And people said to me, sure, what's the internet like? Who'd look up the internet for a business? But I had a vision, and when I get myself a vision, I just go with it. So I said, no, they will eventually. They'll all be looking up the internet for a business. So I set up WhatsWhat.ie, and people told me I was crazy. And they said to me, Barbara, did you ever hear of the .com crash? The what? No, never heard of that. Ignorance is bliss sometimes. But even if I had heard, I think I would have still kept going. Said, look, you know, I would just ignore that. So I set up WhatsWhat, and I kept doing the paper at the time because I had to bring in the money. And yeah, WhatsWhat was growing and growing and growing, and I had a few revamps, and it was going really well. And I mean, I probably was way ahead of my time because Google came to Ireland in 2003. The cheek of them, like, you know, copying me, following me. Well, this is in 2002. So I said, okay, so Google's there. So yeah, it's fine. Yeah, cope with this. So kept going on and on. And then it brought me up to, well, recession. Recession hit, I'll never forget it, in September 2008. That was when the announcement was made. We're in recession. I said, right, okay. So I kept going with my business because what I was doing was I never had my eggs in one basket. and everything I did was very cost effective. So I could keep going and keep doing what I did. So that brought me up to 2012. So 2012, after speaking to lots of businesses over the time as I do, they were really depressed. Their businesses were going to the wall. They needed to meet new people. They needed to expand their network. They needed to get out there, basically. So I said, I'm going to do a BizExpo. Have you ever done one before, Barbara? No. Well, how do you know what to do? Well, sure, I learned along the way. So, but I had a vision. And my vision was to see a sea of pop-ups in a massive, massive room and everyone doing business together. So I made sure everyone had a pop-up, which was great. And it was in the pavilion in the Red Cow, since knocked down now for a car park. But I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget it for as long as I live, because it was the most amazing moment. I stood on a chair and I saw my vision, my sea of pop-ups. And everybody was all talking. And I heard people saying, oh my God, you need to get down here. This is great. You know, and do you know what I did it for, Colm? I did it for the small business. I didn't do it for the bigger businesses. I did it for, the small businesses are always, when it comes to expos, they're always kind of left behind because they have all the shelving space to buy, and it was always out of their reach and out of their pocket. So I had 6-foot tables, and they decorated their tables, and they had all their products. And by the time the day was halfway through, sure, they were all over the place. But sure, that was okay. They were spreading their products, and they were spreading themselves, and there was banners popping up everywhere around the room. Sure, that was okay.
Barbara Gordon, let me come in here on behalf of everybody in the cafe. Huge silent Bula bus going on there. Just fantastic stuff. I mean, let's pause there for a second. So, and let's bask in the glory of, I have this image of you standing on the chair in the middle of this arena, looking at and seeing your vision come to life.
It was amazing. I'll never forget it as long as I live. It was just amazing.
Well done. A couple of things, if I may. Love the fact that you said back in the day, so there was no internet back in the day, but you also and you had to go and get all the copy and back and forth and all the stuff. Mm-hmm. But you refer to it as a lovely time in business because you
Absolutely. Because real connections were made. There was no social media. There was no internet. You had to knock on the door. You had to sit down with your customer with the ad copy. And I love chatting to people. I love business. And I just love chatting to people, and they tell me about their business, and I tell them about what I'm doing. And it was great. It was really, really lovely.
It's just gorgeous. I love the fact, by the way, that those feckers Google came in and stole your idea.
I know.
No, that'll never catch on.
No.
Before we go there, by the way, another couple of things. Not all your eggs in one basket. That's been part of your strategy, even though you tell us you'd no strategy really. You were just making it up. But underneath it all, you've got a business acumen there to die for, dare I say. And then low cost, you kept your overheads down to a minimum. Love that. You sold the paper a handful of times. Tell us about that.
Oh yeah. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I will. Okay, I sold it 3 times and didn't buy it back once. So how did I do that? So I sold it to a lad and he went off. And I said to him, now, I'm giving you a year to make this successful. And if I'm going off to find myself, to see what I'm going to do next. And if you leave it for a year, so I was being very fair, if you don't do it for 1 year, and if I'm footloose and fancy free, well, I'm going to take it back. So I got him to sign that. So off I went, I was selling insurance. I was just working for other people, wasn't happy. So I was watching and waiting, and he left it for a year. So I hopped in and I took it back. He came down giving it out to me. I said, you haven't done it for a year. He said, I bought it off you. Why don't you buy it off me? I said, buy what? You haven't done it for a year. I've nothing to buy. I've got to build this back up again. So then I did that. Then another lad came along and he bought it and he went off. And again, he left it and he didn't do it for a year. And then another lad came along and he made me sign a document that I wouldn't take it back because he knew my previous experience. So I signed that. So he left it for a year and a half without doing it. So I just snuck in and did it anyway. You know, he didn't know.
Oh, Barbara Gordon, you know, I'm so glad that I stuck with it 4 weeks to try and get you to come on the show. Feckin' Ryan Tubridy wouldn't have as hard a job. Just great stuff. Fabulous story.
So, yeah, it was, the paper was amazing. I loved it. It was, you know, it was like a community. It was like a club. Like the same people were in it every single month, you know, and they were saying, oh, put me in again. But what I did was, I actually, to make people actually read the paper, I had a quiz with cash giveaways. So they had to look inside to find the answer. Now, I had my phone number, my phone would be ringing, I had to wear earplugs, would be ringing all night long, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the answer to the quiz is blah, 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 blah. But I'm saying, okay, and they had to give their address. So I knew then the paper was delivered to that address. So, yeah, and somebody would win a prize. I would get them to open the paper and keep the paper and so forth. So, yeah, it was really good. So when I set up WhatsWhat, I was still running the paper. So, so I eventually sold it forever.
I love it.
But it's still there, actually. It's still there. It actually, you know something? I actually think these days it would work out quite well.
I was waiting for that. It's, yeah, I've sold it forever. I think.
I think, yeah.
All right. Listen, great stuff. So BizExpo worked really well, and you ran that for a number of years, and so bring us through that quite quickly, if you wouldn't mind, and into.
Okay, the BizExpo was great. It brought lots of small businesses together. I got great crack out of you know, the Bank of Ireland having a table, and then a lone business owner right beside them. So everybody was equal at the BizExpo, and I would get a great kick out of that. We had the chambers there, we had all small businesses, and it was great fun. And I always made sure it was great fun the day. I had animals there. They were electric animals. We were riding around on the animals, having good fun. And I had a body painter, a full body painter there. There was a girl getting her full body painted. Some people were giving out, but I said, look, get over it. And it was grand. It was a bit of fun. And it was, yeah, it just caused a bit of diversion on the day. And yeah, so I sold that in 2018. So I'm now fully committed to WhatsWhat. It's going really well. I'm getting a huge amount of businesses coming on board. And my plan, you're going to kill me, Colm. I'm going to say it. Okay, my plan at the moment is I've created a lovely big monster. For personal reasons, I want to take a little bit of a backseat. I can't see myself taking much of a backseat. But I want to go to the next level now. I am looking for someone to come on board and help me bring it to the next level, because it has absolutely massive potential. We're getting businesses from all over Ireland registering, and they're looking for support and they're looking for help. And then they join the Facebook business group, and there's a lot of interaction going on. So I'm looking for someone to come on board to help me take this to the next level. But there's a but. If I had my way, there's a plan A and plan B. Plan A, I want to give all my profits to children in this country who are sick. Okay, children who I just, they need so much support and so much help, and I have absolutely no problem giving all my profits away. But I'm having a problem getting people, Barbara, you're not going to get anybody into your business, you're going to give all your profits away. So I might go, you know, 60-40 or 50-50, but that would be my dream, to actually to be able to say to a child who's sick and not well, look, what do you need? Here's the money, it's from WhatsWhat. So what I'm doing is closing the circle. So businesses are coming on, they're getting great support, they're getting great networking, they're getting their business profile, they're getting their business exposed, and they're the ones that are actually giving back. I'm just the middle person. So they're coming on board, and it's just giving back. So what, you know, I'd love to see a situation, or if there's a situation where maybe maybe a child needs a wheelchair or here's the money for the wheelchair. We're just going to give it to you. Do you need to go away with your family? Do you need a respite? And I think with the virus as well, a lot of this has been exposed as well, you know, with children. And yeah, that's what I would really love to do.
And do you know what, Barbara? Do you know what? It's a beautiful, yet another beautiful vision. And I tell you, I'd put money down today that it will come to pass. So we're all behind you.
It's just meeting the right people, Colm, the right...
Yeah. And just to qualify, if I may, because Barbara sort of opened that little beautiful segment by saying Colm's going to be given out to me. I'm not, she and I have had sidebar conversations as to what the shape might look like. No issue whatsoever with the vision and the mission behind it, none whatsoever. I think it's just beautiful. But, you know, I'm urging taking it slowly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But Barbara, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And you're closing the circle. And you know, you got somewhat emotional there when you took a moment to yourself and you said...
I just don't understand why children get sick, why children suffer. There are children in Crumlin Hospital born with cancer. Just don't get it. And it shouldn't happen. And I just thought, yeah, if you can do something to help, yeah. Businesses come on board. It's, again, you say closing the circle. They're coming on board. They're getting massive bang for their buck. And businesses, Irish people are extremely kind people. And they might not have an opportunity, oh yeah, we'll sign up and we know where our money's going. So their money is going to help somebody else. And I just think that, and I've spoken to a lot of people about this and they just think, yeah, absolutely, I'd have no problem. I'd sign up just for this. Also, it's going to help my business. So yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Barbara. Thank you for going there and for sharing that with us. And we wish every success. And, you know, this lovely team here in the cafe, we'll do what we can to help. We are running a couple of live events once the series finishes on 17th of July. And, you know, we'll definitely be raising funds to go to various different charities that have come on the show. Yours isn't currently a charity, but, you know...
I kind of didn't want to give the money to a charity. First of all, I'd have to know what the salaries were in the charity and, you know, the earnings and so forth. But what I would do is give the money to somebody within that charity. So the charity might say, well, look, we have a child here who needs this help. Can you help? Yeah. That's my dream. And I hope it comes true. But I just need the right person to come on board with me, person or persons, to help me bring that to the next level.
And I think everybody in the cafe would agree that that's on its way. I think that's on its way. I think it has to be. You can't be doing such good work and putting it out there and for it not to happen. So this conversation shall be continued. Come here, just totally beautiful. Thank you very much for coming in today. You know, you resisted hard and fast for a long time.
Well, I'm extremely shy. You know that, Colm. So I'm extremely shy. And people don't believe that I'm shy but look, you're out there doing this, that and the other. But on a personal note, I'm extremely shy. So, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't give up, so I gave in.
I get that, and I think people see that in you as well. However, you're still that little girl who rocked up to the picnic and said, "My daddy's lost. I'm fine, but my daddy's lost." And you've been doing that ever since, right? And everybody just keeps minding you and loving and getting in behind you. So your vision will come to pass for sure. I see Shelley there nodding away. Listen, just gorgeous. We're going to go to Q&A from the, we're going to go to Q&A from the floor in just a second. But before we do, COVID obviously hit. What are you taking with you from COVID? What good stuff are you taking from COVID with you, the next phase?
I think probably back to basics for a lot of people, appreciating what they've got, valuing what they've got. I think it's grounded a lot of people. There's great sadness there because I feel the sadness for a lot of business because they've closed, and that is so sad and so devastating, because they've actually nothing they could do about it. Like in the last recession, there was a lead up to it, and it was a slow burn, but this has been an overnight, and it's just been so sad. And I speak to a lot of businesses on a daily basis, and I'm saying, look, you don't have to come on board, don't have to pay me, wait until you're back and wait until you get sorted. But it's about what it's done to their business. They spent years, some of them, building their business. They've got through a recession and now completely wiped out. And that's really sad. So the back to basics, yeah, but there's great sadness there for what's happened. But I think a lot of businesses are learning now. They've pivoted and they're opening up their minds and changing direction. And I suppose the virus has just made them do that as well. So a bit of good there as well. A bit of good, only a bit.
Really well said, Barbara. Back to basics, pivoting, and a bit of good in there too. So yeah, well done. Thank you for that. Folks, who'd love to come in on the conversation with Barbara? Who'd like to pop in and just comment? Bridget, thank you.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, how are you?
Barbara, you're so amazing, right? You're such a tough cookie on the outside, right? That I'd say, God, I'm always scared of Barbara, right? And then when I hear you talking, you're the softest little dotine, as they say in Connemara, inside, right?
Right.
So it's called, you've got resilience and strength beyond words. There's no such thing as no in your mind. Everything is yes. And everything you've done, through struggles like we've all had, but you've had them as well. I can see by you. But you're just spectacularly amazing woman. And I admire you enormously. And you're very brave, because shyness is really paralyzing. And you've come on today, and Zoom is actually harder than anything at the beginning. And you've come on today and you've faced everybody and the rest of the people that are here. And we've loved it. I'm sure that I'm saying that unanimously for everyone. We've absolutely loved it, loved you, and keep going. And your visions, or you've all these visions, and all these visions, as Colm said, and all the team will believe, are going to come true. But I admire you enormously. Yeah, I just think you're fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. Isn't that lovely? I think Bridget speaks on behalf of everybody in the cafe today. Fantastic, absolutely gorgeous. Your exterior belies what's going on in the. There's a steely inside. However, it's mushy as hell as well. Do you know what I mean? This beautiful mix, which is unique to Barbara Gordon. So, Barbara, lovely to have you here today. I'm going to go to Princess Shelley. She'll tell us what else has been going on in the cafe. Thank you.
Once again, a very busy comment section throughout the cafe and your chat, Barbara. Thank you for your lovely stories. So much engagement in the cafe. Everybody's laughing and chuckling, and everybody's feeling the emotion. We're going through it with you through your story, and thank you so much. Christine Duff, who's she's joining us from Cork. She's not on video, she's multitasking, and was a previous guest on the show and had another lovely story. She kicked off the comments with, Barbara, I love the words you used at the start, like a dog with a bone getting stuck in. I love that. So yeah, thanks for that, Christine. And she went on to say then that, like Colm said, that it was your dad that was lost, not you. And that resonated with me too. And I saw a few smiles in the cafe. I see Dee there smiling, and James, everyone's like, yeah, your dad was lost, silly dad. Like, love it. Ger Lockery, who is a regular in the cafe, joins us while he's here in his office working away. And Ger said that he visited Bray many times and loves the promenade there, and will always remember he went on his first waltzer in the fun fair there as a kid. So that's great. I can imagine that. The hurdy-gurdies, I think they call it, don't they? So yeah, so thanks for bringing us back to that memory, Barbara, and thanks for sharing, Ger. So then Janie, another previous guest, said, and we were talking before the start of the show, so I believe you two have met or you're in each other's orbit at some stage, and she was just saying a born entrepreneur for sure. And that was when we were talking about the teas and the coffees, and the teas, I should say, along the promenade and the baby shop and everything. Really remarkable story. And there's another few comments I'll come to in a moment from Janie. And Sandra said, visited Bray many times, great memories of climbing Bray Head. So you brought us all on this journey this morning, Barbara, and it really is very nice. And people are appreciating revisiting that, you know. When we were talking about the day you needed the €100 for something, £100 when pounds were pounds, and you went off and sure enough, gathered it very quickly. Janie popped in and said, gives a new meaning to the expression, the mother of necessity. I'm sure you are an essential part of life for young mothers and mothers-to-be. Love the sustainability of that business initiative too. That was the nearly new baby shop, which we loved. And James liked, thanks for being here, James. Thanks for your comment. James said he loves the fact that the salesman felt compelled to tell you that you were pregnant as if you didn't know already. So yeah, I see a few laughs there in the cafe. You wouldn't hear that today, Barbara, would you? So Sarah Ward was loving all that about you were using the pregnant belly, the bump as the shelf and everything. Sarah was applauding that, and Sandra was Loving it too, Barbara, well done. And Jane will say, no messing with you, Barbara. So all this, and Dee Keogh, thanks for being here, Dee. Dee says, charm and seduction graduate with bells. I think that was when we were talking about you going around selling the vouchers and the wives were all out shopping and you were kind of charming them all into bringing the wives out for the meal. And so you had all that. So yeah, everybody loved that. And then as I bring it to a close, Brendan O'Brien, thanks for being here today, Brendan. He says that he loves how you made it happen, in exclamation marks, and that he loves your vision and your values. So yeah, so he loved that too, and thanks for that. And Peter G, who was in the cafe, said he was sorry for arriving late. You don't need to say that, Peter. He's given us all a wave there. That's what a cafe is all about. There's no such thing as late, and you pop in and you can hear the lovely conversations that are going on in the cafe. Christine says you're an inspiration, Barbara. Isn't that lovely to know you're inspiring these people from all over the country, indeed across the world, and we'll all take a little piece of your story. I can see you cringing a little bit, but it's a fact. We go off about our business now for the rest of the day and we take a little bit of your story with us. Alan says it's a pleasure to work with and I have learned so much from you, Barbara. And Jennifer says she's known you for many years and you're always ready to help in any way you can, and that you looked after Jennifer when she needed help. She's always grateful. That's very nice, Barbara, isn't it? At this point, Colm, I will hand over to you. A lovely vibe once again, and it's you guys being here and contributing that makes it the place that it is today, a place we're very proud to call our cafe on the Coffee at 11 show. Thank you, Colm. It's back to you.
Princess Shelley, that was gorgeous. That was just gorgeous, and it's becoming increasingly everybody's favourite part of the show. Let's be honest here. Do you remember Eamon Andrews? Who remembers Eamon Andrews? And This Is Your Life. Remember that, yeah? Well, showing our age here. That's what it sort of feels like. This is your life vibe going on, and it's just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's lovely, and the atmosphere is gorgeous.
It is lovely, isn't it? Yeah, it's just become something, but it's become something because everybody here just gets involved. And it really is. It's the closest thing to a cafe without the overhead. See the grey hair that comes from having a cafe with overhead, right? So anyway, but look, Barbara, it's a pleasure, a real pleasure having you join us today. Thank you for that. Lovely story. Would you agree, ladies and gentlemen?
And thank you for the 4 weeks of putting up with all my excuses. Thank you.
I thought my Outlook has crashed. I didn't get your email. I thought that was a bit low, but you know. And
that was actually true.
I know. I get
the others were true as well. The others were true-ish, but that was really that happened. My Outlook did crash. I got. He's not going to believe me now. He's not going to believe me.
What was that story? Peter and the Wolf. But anyway, moving swiftly on. Come here. It's a pleasure, real pleasure, and it has been a pleasure. And I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have, because it's just been joyful.
Absolutely, yeah, and thank you. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, delighted. Folks, lovely to have you all here. Thank you for being here today and honouring Barbara and her amazing story, which isn't over by a long shot. Right, we won't mention age. Anyway, so it isn't over for a long shot. 67. Actually, you mentioned it because this is show 69. And
I know.
She said, I wish it had been show 67, which was last Friday, but that was another birthday girl that we honoured last Friday. And Janie Lazar shall remain nameless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just give a little bit a shout out to Alan Hennessy? I see he's here. He's been great support to me because I do not have a techie brain in my head. I do not have half a techie brain. So Alan has been amazing. He does all the digital marketing for WhatsWhat as well. So thank you, Alan Hennessy.
And I'm going to be very bold here. And Alan, I'm going to invite you in just to say a quick hello, if you don't mind, please. Can I unmute you? Unmute yourself there, please, and come in and say hello. Thanks.
Hello, how are you? How is everyone? Good to see everyone. As usual, Barbara telling her story, I've heard it a number of times in different formats, but every time I hear it, I hear something new from her. It's just, I have to admit, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with herself and become a sponsor as well on WhatsWhat. And, you know, it's just, we have so much fun and come up with some really good ideas. And Barbara rang me and she said, I was thinking of this, and I go, okay, and then we just decipher it down into pieces. But yeah, no, it's been brilliant, and it's a pleasure to be in here. Really delighted to join in as well here today.
Listen, thank you for that. Thank you indeed, Alan. Lovely to have you in the cafe. Thanks for coming in. But I just thought that was appropriate to honour. You both honour each other. You know, you both got each other's back. But I get that. You know, Barbara rings you, says, I was just thinking, and you're thinking, oh my God, where's this going to go? What am I going to have to do? How many rabbits am I going to have to pull out of hats for it to happen?
Definitely.
Alan, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Right, folks. Right. Let me just tell you before I let you all go what's happening tomorrow on the Coffee at 11 show, if I may. Tomorrow, another very special guest coming in. Tomorrow's episode 70. And this lady is currently the president of the Irish Hotel Federation because her name is Elena Fitzgerald, and she's part of the dynasty, the family dynasty that runs the Woodlands Hotel and Spa in Adair, County Limerick. And her mother, Mary, is a legend in the industry too, but her mother was president of the Irish Hotel Federation during 9/11, right? So roll on all these years, and Elena is president of the Irish Hotel Federation in COVID. And of course, both ladies, powerful ladies, tasked with trying to help support a whole industry reviving. And the industry begins to revive next Monday. So that's why we chose tomorrow as the day for Elena to come on the show. So would you do us all a favor, herself included in particular, and the entire hospitality industry, if you can, come in for an hour tomorrow, and let's honour her and the work she does and the whole industry that she supports, if that's okay. So thank you for that. I want to thank the team as ever. Katrina O'Brien there with her sun bonnet. Lovely to have you here in advance for the wonderful work you're going to do this evening, topping and tailing this, making it beautiful. Eamon Smith, aka The Monk, for keeping us safe and secure. Namaste, my friend. And of course, Princess Shelley, everybody's favourite. Thank you for that, for producing today's show. I absolutely love it. It's getting completely out of hand, ladies and gentlemen. I love it. And I want to thank wigwam.ie SME peer support for their ongoing support. But finally, just to bring the show to a close, Barbara Gordon, namaste.
Yeah, listen, just thank you for inviting me here, and watch this space, and I hope my dream comes true. This is a big one. This is a biggie.